Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to our Equine Family to Town Hall number 45. It's the 4th of February, and we're here to share with you our latest progress. As usual, I'm joined by the lovely fence maker and Marek.
Hi everyone.
So, also, as usual, we'll give a few minutes for people to come in.
So is my video working this time, or am I still like a blank?
You are still frozen.
Oh,
Well, we can hear you.
well, yeah, that's good. I'll close the video though.
Yeah.
If it's not gonna work.
Hello, Aero Critter. Hello, good morning, Troy. I hope everyone's having a great Sunday. We've been enjoying the football. Qatar is back to its football activities. We have the Asia Football Cup happening here, and we happened to reach the semi-finals. We had a very tough match yesterday, ended in penalty kick out, and it was really intense, but we ended up winning, barely winning. Hi, Foxer Stables. Good to see you around. We're playing against Uzbekistan, and we have Iran, Jordan, Korea, and Qatar in the top 4. Hi, Rachel. Hello, Tomo. We start in 2 more minutes. There's also an Arabian horse event happening here in Qatar for purebred Arabian horses. It's a pretty beautiful. I unfortunately didn't get the chance to visit, but I'll find an opportunity. This year has been pretty heavy actually for the Arabian horse events. There's been already 2 this year, I think, in Qatar, and we're just in the beginning of February. We kind of have both pretty active. The thoroughbreds have their own places, but there's also the whole, I think Arabian horses are more for show. There are races for them as well. It's just that the thoroughbred racing, I think, is a bit more intense. Okay, we'll start in 1 minute. All right, let's get off to a start, and we'll cover what's happening today as in the usual sequence. We're going to go through visuals, the race system guide. We'll just touch on development, marketing, and then go through AMA as usual. So on the visual side, we've showcased in a sneak peek during the last invitation. If you haven't gotten a chance to see it, we've also posted a bit on X. The race UI overlay has already been hooked up to full race simulations. It's in a working state. This demonstration obviously applies to different races, and it's a systematic, let's say, or a system implementation. And then for bringing all the different race sequences together, the race viewer originally had a bit of a very segregated state manager for different components. So we've developed, our 3D developers put together basically a new state manager that is more, let's say, high level or overarching. And this has already been refactored, so it's already been implemented and it's functional. So the race behaves as it was behaving in the past in terms of showing the full race sequence, but using the new system, the new state manager. And over the next couple of weeks, the target is to implement back all of the race parts as we used to do manually, let's say, over the past 3D viewers, but using this new state manager. So it's having the race or / track intro, the like big aerial view, the horse intros, which we've shown screenshots of in the past, the race start, the mid-race, the race finish, and then the results page. So all these stages are now built into this overarching system so that we can also, as game designers, and we can basically also now customize how they behave. Obviously, that's not the first priority. First, we treat all races as the same, but it allows us in the future, for example, for feature races to say feature races are going to have a different introduction sequence, or feature races are going to have, for example, a different result screen, and all these customizations can now be handled through this state manager. And also, we're pretty optimistic about this part. We're expecting this to not take too long, hopefully, and hopefully within the same next couple of weeks to be able to start refining. This is gonna be a moving target, so refining all of the issues or smaller issues with the race viewer are not going to be a small task, but to at least start working on that. As soon as we have the full sequence working, then our focus will be on refining the different issues that we already know are there. Things like the animations that we've been talking about for a while, both the synchronized one and also fixing it to a proper gallop, the colors of the whole scene, the colors of the different silks, etc., the track elements that need adjusting, etc. So these are what's next for the 3D viewer or for the race viewer. And I think we're on to good progress. I think the momentum has picked up finally, and we're making consistent, let's say, progress there. I'm really optimistic about the speed of delivery in the next few weeks. The race system guide, I'm not going to dive into. We've already touched a few times, and we've even showed the content. I'll just clarify. I think we mistakenly called it a game guide. I think calling it a game guide is not correct because the game has many elements, including the lists and how to navigate through them, and the breeding system and all different components. What we're calling this is the race system guide. I know that Rachel and the team have been working on making this with the graphics designers in a nice way. It's already, I think there's been already 2 revisions, if I'm not mistaken, and we're still going through one more. The content is for the most part the same, just a few tweaks here and there. But we're calling it a race system guide because that's what it talks about. It talks about the racing system that we have and the rules basically and how they kind of work. So it didn't make sense that we call this the game guide. The game guide would be a much more comprehensive thing. On a documentation, let's say, side of things, I think what we've discussed also with the team is we think for a revised or a revamped white paper, even though we've worked a lot actually on a revised, let's say, white paper, what makes sense in this, let's say, context is white paper, I believe, should now reflect more like the system design and the game, let's say, component design, rather than the game system as a whole. And a more comprehensive game guide can be a separate thing, because some people would care about the technology and how it works on the blockchain side and how we kind of implement the game in that way. But it's not the same as onboarding people to play the game and understand how the game works. So we think separating the two makes a lot of sense. It's an ongoing, let's say, project, but the race system guide, I think, is our next one that we want to release. So we're still working on that, and we should have it fairly soon. Before you guys get your hands on testing, I think you already have a fair idea of the race system guide, and both should be, I'd say, fairly soon. And that's what I have. Nick, development, and there's a nice, very tasty screenshot, I would say.
The cool thing about the screenshot is that it's actually true. Those are real test races data that are on chain, that are gathered through the indexer, and that are sent from the Oracle to our front end and then displayed correctly. So that's what we're doing right now. Seems simple to just show the list of races, but there's back end blockchain technology on top of a few innovations, but it's working. It's getting now that a lot of things are unblocked, we've seen our developer really fly and upgrade all of this, put all of this together very quickly, and it's really progressing fast again. For a bit of time there, we were bottlenecked by a single dev, which was the last little mile that needed to be done for everything to be able to be integrated. Now it's clearly integrating. There's a bit of integration pain. That's normal. So there's a few things we're fighting and checking and testing, and we have sent horses into the smart contract. We're verifying that behavior is as predicted, that everything will go fine, but we don't have that. I cannot come back to you with results yet. The only thing we've done right now is sent horses into the smart contract and then taken them back after. But we're going to get a valid race out. That's the next thing we're doing, is getting enough horses in a race that are valid so that the race actually runs, is accepted by the smart contract, calls the back end for simulating races, and gets us a simulation out. It's not going to be shown, so there's not going to be 3D graphics the first time around, but we just want to have the full loop, basically, and then the 3D graphics will just need to be hooked onto it. But if everything else works but the 3D graphics, then that's a huge milestone for us. So we're at 99% with like just a few more tweaks to get everything done, and verifying that the smart contract is doing the right thing. So that's where we're at, super close. And my blockchain dev right now, while he's waiting for us to figure out if everything is okay, he's investigating a memory leak. So we've got a bit of instability in the server. That's not a fun kind of bug, not a horrible one either. So we're just trying to find that out and patch that so that the server is stable. So that causes a bit of instability right now. That's unacceptable. So that's the two big things we're doing. So full integration with the GUI, and making sure the server little bug is fixed.
And just to mention, I guess, is even what we have here obviously is meant to be functional. There are things there that still are placeholders. Obviously, the thumbnail there is not really an equine thumbnail. The
Yeah.
surface icon with a D in a circle, again, also is more of a placeholder, as well as the forecast section.
I think it means dirt. I think that's fine.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it just
We might do something better.
more
Yeah,
beautiful.
fair.
And there's also not a full complete race schedule. This is just something we can test with. But
Well,
yeah,
the race schedule has like hundreds of races in there.
Yeah,
Our game
but-
dev has had a lot of fun giving you guys a well interspersed kind of all classes, all schedule kind of thing. It's kind of wild, the amount of races that's in there actually.
yeah.
Our
What
blockchain
you
dev has
expect from the
asked.
game.
Huh?
It's what the people would expect from the game when it starts. We kind of just get
Yeah, exactly. It's like a full schedule of a real game. Our blockchain dev actually asked us to cut it down to like 5 races or something to but I said no. I said basically, you're gonna have to live with this because that's what it's gonna be like. So,
Absolutely. So yeah, I think from both sides things are shaping up very well. It's just about getting these issues. I think the stability issue is at the level of like crashing once per day or 2 days, and obviously we can't have that in a running operation. So we're working also on figuring that out while we're doing the integration. And yeah, that's it. I think, Nick, from the dev side.
oh, sorry. Yes.
Yeah. All right. So we head on to marketing. Over to you, Mark.
Cool. Yeah, so we published a new calendar as we always do at the beginning of the month. We will have 2 town halls. One is today, the other one is in 2 weeks. This is a short month anyway, so just 2 town halls that will fit. And this is also a month of lunar year that is celebrated in quite a big part of Asia. So worth mentioning. And then, as always, we have the invitational. This time we decided to actually repeat what we did last time. So the same stats, but we will not allow the winners back in. So if you weren't in top 3, you can bring the same horse, or you can bring a new horse. Entry will be done through the form as usual until we fill 32. Just a small comment here: if we don't get 32, because that happened before, we will cut it at 24. So first come, first serve. Always better to submit early. But I don't think it will be a problem, because last time we got more than we got like 42 or something entries. So I'm not too concerned, but whoever wants to run definitely should make sure they are there. And of course, we'll post all the details on the Discord, as we always do. One other thing in the calendar, I asked Rachel about it because she noted also the Pancake Tuesday. And so far, we'll see. Maybe we'll plan something fun. It's a holiday that's, well, not holiday. It's a day that celebrates pancakes in the Western world. She thought it would be funny to put it there. We are not 100% sure yet if we'll do anything particular, but let's see. Maybe a bit of surprise.
I was wondering what that was. I think, and we figured out. I was like, should we remove it? And like, no. Who says no to pancakes? It's okay. Let's celebrate pancakes. Nothing wrong with that.
Exactly.
Mark, I think you mentioned, so those who entered the last invitational and didn't get in because of the cutoff,
yes,
will automatically be
automatically
seated in.
get in. Yes. Sorry, I should have mentioned that specifically. So, as I said, we had more than 32. So those who entered and missed, and I think maybe I will talk to Rachel to publish the names and the horses for those who missed the cutoff, so they know they are in. Winners cannot submit, but everyone else who participated can submit again, or you could bring a new horse, a new person could join too. 32 is max, so make sure you're
One
not...
more clarification. When you say winner, do you mean winning horses or the users?
No, the same horses, because it's the same stats, right? So what I'm saying is that the horse should not be entered. The same user, it would be unfair. Usually those who win, they have multiple horses. They can try another horse.
Sure.
And,
just clarifying,
good
not
question
objecting.
from Jerome about Tłusty Czwartek. I will explain it in a moment. Let me see, when is it? Oh, it's actually on the 8th. So that will be Thursday, as the name suggests. So Tłusty Czwartek is basically Fat Thursday. It's a kind of a day in Poland that we celebrate. It's a last Thursday before the Lent starts, before the Easter. And the idea is that you're supposed to eat as many donuts as you physically can, which means in some cases, like basically people eat like a lot of donuts on the 8th in Poland. Yeah,
I support this kind of event. I like
I don't.
celebrating with pancakes.
I mean, I love
not healthy, not healthy, just fun. Okay. Once per year.
I've been trying to be good with the food, but I cannot say no to a good Polish donut. They are way better than all the American stuff. Like, no comparison.
Okay, that's a competition. I think you're gonna have people on both sides, but yeah, we need to test that one day. All right, let's take the AMA. We're actually taking this with a fresh look outside. Some of these I haven't prepared these specific questions. Let's see how these goes. So on Cardano, it is possible to send assets to multiple addresses using a transaction builder. Yes, that's correct. Could a similar RD be leveraged to send multiple horses into different races in one transaction? Nick, what do you say?
The difficulty is that you have to send datum when you do that. It's interaction with a smart contract. So technically possible, I think. I think that would make it more complex. Definitely something we're gonna have to look into actually in the future, but I would not do that now. I'd just keep it one horse, one transaction for now. We've thought about a lot of different ways. I like to call that transaction design. It's not a word, but it should be, because a lot of people, when they come up with Cardano apps, they get into trouble, and it's not actually a real problem. If they just designed the transaction correctly, they would sidestep those issues. So transaction design is very important. In this case, we looked into if you could enter a horse into a series of race, like get it into this race, and then after that, keep it in the smart contract, but enter it in this other race, and then keep it in the smart contract and enter it in this other race, and have like enter it into multiple races or into a repeated series of races. Then we looked into this, which is entering multiple horses into multiple different races at the same time. And we looked, so we're looking at the design of this, but since there's a smart contract involved, what we wanted is also to just keep it simple and stupid for now, and do it super cleanly with no problems. And then what we're probably gonna do is using 2 wallets for one race is definitely possible. We have no way of knowing, and so basically, we're going to look into this, and what we're going to do is probably at some point put out a test contract with those ideas tested in it, and you guys are going to test it on the beta website, which is on the testnet. And if we ever get something that's really sturdy and doesn't cause any problems, then yes, we're going to move towards those kind of designs that are obviously much better. Yes, on the same computer, Utiro, because what if your daughter plays on the same computer as you? Are we going to block her? That'd be annoying, right?
I think, these quality of life, let's say, features, I think are important for the user experience. Obviously, now we're in a state of, well, let us launch even with the basic features before worrying about this. This is obviously the thought. We know everyone's been waiting, and we're also waiting for this to launch. So we can't really prioritize this kind of development over releasing. But I think, Nick, there might be also some value in when we're at that stage, say, to think of minimal change to the racing smart contract, even though that's probably inevitable, and maybe having a layer in the middle which relates to scheduling. So it's more like almost like an escrow, and that it can keep the horses but nowhere to send them and then to bring them back, whether it's into a next race or back to the holder. And I wonder if that's also a right step to implement at that stage, the trainer concept. So if you want to assign somebody to be able to control which races it goes to, so then that person would be able to basically put the races or schedule the races, even though the horse is owned by someone else. It's probably out of complexity at this stage, but I'm just thinking it might be possible as a separate intermediate layer before the racing smart contract, so that it still receives almost the same structure, but in the middle there is another ownership, let's say, or decision-making layer, which is a bit realistic, I'd say. And we can explore, I think, at the right time. Okay. When is a demo game coming out, or a full trailer showing the development process? So we kind of touched on this in the past. We're trying to make sure that we've been trying to make sure that we don't put out a date that we can't meet, and obviously it's been a challenge, as anyone who's been following the project has seen. But our focus is to continue development, to make sure we're continuing development and to continue the progress. So when is the demo game coming out? What we plan is, as soon as we can get to testing, that we can then also share the testing on testnet to a wider group, and then the full trailer would be the same when we've already been showing sneak peeks here and there. So to show the full sequence, well, one is showing the menus, which we've already shown a little bit, but showing it in action. And number 2 is showing the race sequence, and we've already shown a full race sequence just now, very polished. So that will keep getting refined. And I think once we have a full refined one, we can also show that, but we can also let people come and try by themselves and also screen record and share and talk about it, etc. I hope that answers the question. And for a specific time frame, I'm still gonna refrain from giving one, but I think it's in the matter of months, a few months, hopefully. Are the races the last piece of the puzzle? What about breeding and updating our NFTs? How will that work, and is it good to go? Races are, I would say, the last piece of the puzzle for the first part of the release, which is racing, obviously. While we realize that breeding would be starting the month right after. So we know that they're going to be very close to each other. Pioneer horses, or all horses actually, are able to breed from age 3, and that's going to be 1 month after they're activated on mainnet. So we only have that 1 month gap basically to have breeding up and running. So we wouldn't want to risk releasing racing without breeding really being in place. I understand breeding is similar to what racing was a few months ago, but is also, let's say, much more trivial, much more basic, because it doesn't involve many users at the same time and the time frame that is in the minutes and hours. It is
And
rather
there's
a
no smart
monthly
contract.
activity. And no smart contract, absolutely.
No, it's
Yeah.
much simpler. Yeah.
So, but we have already the code, I believe, done already for breeding, but it doesn't been integrated yet, right, Nick?
It's not integrated, but it's ready. So yes, basically there's going to be only the integration pane, but everything else is already there. So should be, and the interface is all mocked, so you can go through all the screens, and there's been less changes. It's a lot less complicated. Like the only complicated thing was maybe the actual breeding of the DNA, and that turned out pretty simple too. So it's all very clean. It's really racing with the 3D engine and the blockchain and the smart contract is definitely by far the most complex and largest piece of this puzzle. So breeding, there's going to be a few things that are cute, like actually minting the foals every start of the month, and those kind of updates. Those are going to be technical, but that's all things I'm comfortable with. There's a lot less unknowns. Not saying it's going to be all smooth sailing. Integration's already always kind of a surprise and a bit painful, but it's really not going to be the amount of complexity we've had for racing.
What about updating NFTs, Nick, when it comes to racing? As in, after a race, the NFT is being updated with the race updates and also the breeding updates.
Yeah. So basically, for racing updates, what you're going to get is what we wanted was atomic. I don't want to be complex. Atomic transaction means that at the same time that you get back your horse gets updated, right? The update to the metadata is the same transaction than the transaction where you get back your horse. So that you cannot have your horse back without updating it, right? And that's a little SIP86 update. It will come true in the metadata with the transaction, and that's fairly simple. What it will do is take your daily races down one level, add your race statistics. So either you won, you placed first, second, or third, or you didn't. And if you beat your best, like if it's the first time that you beat a class, you won in class 3 for the first time, then it's going to record that. So it's recording a few race statistics and your daily races. For breeding
and your RP update as well,
and your RP update and your winnings update. Yeah. So the different race statistics, and you get your prize money, but that's from the smart contract. For breeding, instead of a ton of atomic transactions happening at any time, a lot of it is happening. Well, when you breed, there's a little update that says you bred once. Either you're now pregnant and you cannot get pregnant again this month, or you just used a horse token and now a stallion breeding token, and now it's gone, right? It'll get burnt. So those will happen throughout the month, but at the end of the month or the beginning of the month, then a lot of things happen. Everybody gets reset. Nobody's pregnant. All the stallions are full, and the foals are born. So that's going to be a few SIP86 update. But the way it's been created, as you know, those are going to be super simple. That's actually one update to get all the mares not pregnant, one update to get all the stallions full, and then a lot of minting to get all those foals to their mothers.
Right. I hope this clarifies. Do you have any other questions? Yeah. Once the game is live, horses are activated and growing. SIP86 doesn't update the NFT's own metadata, but rather data referencing the NFT. marketplaces won't be able to follow, or will they?
Yeah, that's a great question. Just quickly, once the game is live, horses are not activated and growing. You're going to have to activate them. So you can choose not to activate your horse for as long as you want. First thing. So you might activate all your horses. Then second question is SIP86 is not adopted by marketplaces and wallets. That's true for now. We are going to talk to Smog at Pool.pm, and then also wallets, and then also marketplaces. And the more following that SIP86 gets through multiple projects other than Equine, the more that there's going to be a positive outcome for everybody to just integrate it. And since we're giving away the code to do it, it should be simpler for people to actually run the indexer and get the SIP86 data.
Yeah, so ultimately, I would say from the user side, as long as it is adopted by any of these, let's say, services or platforms, such as marketplaces or wallet viewers or wallets, etc., then the NFTs would actually appear up to date as they are. So the NFT's own metadata will be the one that is updated with SIP86. Instead of, even though technically it is data referencing the NFT, but SIP86 basically connects that data to the NFT so that it replaces its own metadata. That's the whole idea of SIP86. So that becomes the own metadata if you support SIP86. So as long as it's supported by that entity, then that would be shown. And we will be making that drive in promoting SIP86 adoption in both on the user side or on the project side, I mean, and also on the services side, as in these third-party services. And we believe that it's fairly, it's really viable to support it. It's not really something that is as intensive that let's say they wouldn't want to support it, and we hope that's going to add enough value for people to want to support it, so it becomes a seamless part of the whole blockchain. Okay, lots of nice questions. When buying horses on the secondary market, how will you know the age if they started breeding? Will you have to verify with the game? So this kind of touches on the past one, and it's depends on whether you can see the latest NFT metadata. So if you can see that, you'll have the stats to know whether it's been switched to breeding, what is its breeding history, the game itself, the game viewer for races, where you can click and go to a horse. You should be able to also see the horse stats. So you can see that history, you can see its pedigree and progeny, and you can see more details, let's say. And also anyone who does build a platform for this, the details would be on the blockchain. So people could also build more diverse tools, whether they want things for note-taking, whether they want something for tracking, planning, breeding programs, etc. So then it really depends on the interfaces or platforms. So we will have our own view of how that looks. I would say part of the data has to be at a minimum shown on the NFT and via SIP86. And then any more detailed, let's say, analytics or details, including history, etc., would be possible to build or develop on third-party platforms that wish to do so. Okay, so that's all of the questions that we had on the presentation. There was a question about
a quick
go ahead.
update for Utero 77. Let's say you have 12 wallets and you send all 12 horses into the same race. So you're basically the only person playing that race. First of all, that's going to be very hard to get into, let's say, a free race that way, because free races are by lottery, right? When you get in, who gets in?
Yeah. Roughly.
So you can do that to get more chances, but like that's not going to be super useful. And if you get into a normal race that way, a normal race is like playing a casino, right? If you've got all 12 horses in there, you're just guaranteed you're going to take a loss. Not on your race statistics, you might be having a horse that gets to win, but money-wise, you're going to necessarily lose a small percentage, right? So that's not a great strategy.
Plus, even for for free races are gonna have different race characteristics, right? So there is be shorter ones and longer ones, etc. So I mean, I can only imagine, like, if you really only have a huge number of horses, that you'll have that many to enter into the same type of race. But otherwise, if you're entering both the sprinters and the stayers into the same race, then you're actually really destroying a lot of your horses' opportunities or track records, and just for the free race. And maybe it's worth it in some situations, but it really depends on the context. We have from Aero Creators, one question is how easy it will be to look for a horse on the platform. Let's say JPEG is late in integrating SIP 86. Will we have a search field on Equine where we put the horse number to find it?
Yeah, absolutely. There's gonna be a place on the website that you can go directly in the address and put the horse name, or we're gonna put a search bar somewhere, and you're gonna always be able to see the state of a horse in Equine, basically, and necessarily integrating SIP 86. Right? We're gonna give our own API point, and we're even gonna give that API point to the wallets and the marketplaces if they want to query live information from the horse from us, instead of integrating their own indexer, right? They might not want to do that depending on who's doing it. They should, because it's the point of putting everything on chain is you should check on chain. But some smaller companies or anything like that might not want to do that. So they might want to say, like, I'm going to trust Equine, right? That's they control this data anyway, so, like, whatever, right? I'm going to just poll the Equine endpoint and ask for the information about this horse, and that's going to work. So we're going to just give up-to-date information about any horse that we get asked about. But we encourage, like, Pool.pm literally said to us, I'm never going to use somebody else's endpoint. Like, I'm going to integrate your indexer, and I'm going to do agree with that. I think that's 100% the right attitude for marketplaces and wallets. But yeah, any smaller app could want to show live data from any game, or including Equine that use point where that data is available easily.
Thank you, Nick.
Makes sense?
Yeah, I hope so. Makes sense to me, at least, but probably shouldn't talk on behalf of people who are listening to this. All right, thank you so much for tuning in. We will see you in the next town hall, hopefully with even more exciting updates. Thank you for everyone who tuned in. Always glad to have you guys here with us. And yeah, there's last minute question from Eric Creator. Will there be a pricing for API calls? I can imagine it may be a lot of requests. Will that be free? I mean, I think considering the scale of the whole app, I don't think there would be a concern. Do you think it would be a concern, Nick? I can't hear you.
I'm lagging a lot, so I don't know if you guys hear me.
Yeah, now we can.
I think as long as we throttle for, like, DDoS attacks, so that we don't pay for people just slamming the endpoint for no good reason.
Okay, I assume the answer is it shouldn't be a problem. And yes, it was lagging. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. As always, we're always there for follow-up questions on Discord, or I mean, on the Discord is usually the best channel. And we'll see you guys around. Thank you so much. See you guys next time.
Thanks.